Hey everybody, it's Jason with Parallel Reality coming back to you with a video today from inside a cardboard box is how I sound. But we're just going to push through it because the microphone is still acting a bit weird, even with the update to the software program I'm using. So let's just move on to the article. And it's from Townhall.com, dated March 1st. It says, "Is this the most racist MSNBC segment to date?" And well, it's on MSNBC, so that's saying a lot because there's just a lot of it on that channel. But let's scroll down here and you'll see what this is about because this is kind of ridiculous. This is a Twitter account, Educated Hillbilly, if I can talk, and I would recommend following him. He's pretty good. So they posted, "This may be the most overtly racist thing I've seen people say on television." And of course, it was an MSNBC segment, and that's a correct assessment. Yeah, I mean, you could just end it right there with MSNBC because that's just all they deal in is simply that. Then, of course, it's going to be against white people. So naturally, yes, it fits right at home on MSNBC. It says, "Is it the most racist thing ever aired on the left-wing network? I can't say for sure. You'd have to dig through 10 plus years of coverage, starting with the now defunct show The Cycle." I never heard of that show, but also I wasn't really paying attention to politics stuff back then very much at all. It says, "With Democrats struggling with their key voter blocks, it's time to start scaring voters, and it's not Trump-centered. It might be Trump-adjacent, though. The network decided to plug a new book about how white rural rage," that's a kind of a tongue twister there, "is a threat to our republic." Yeah, I saw this this book, and I was like, what the actual F is this? Like, who writes a book like this? And also, I guarantee you these guys didn't actually go speak to farmers or people that live in rural areas. I just said farmers. I don't know why. I just assumed that, so my bad. But what, like, I like, how do they know this? I feel like this is something they just made up and put into a book, and they're going to try to pass it off. But I'm kind of skipping ahead, so let's just keep going through here. It says, "Black and Latino voters are drifting from the Democratic Party, which is good. I want them all over here on our side." It says, "With a full-blown Muslim voter revolt stewing in the Rust Belt, it's time to get these people back into the fold by demonizing white people," of course. There's the book written by Tom Schaller and Washington Post opinion writer Paul Waldman. So there you know, it's always going to be, completely unbiased when you see someone with, I don't know who Tom Schaller is, but you see Washington Post, and I've heard of this Paul Waldman guy before. We couldn't really tell you much of him. But again, Washington Post should be a massive red flag. It says, "Details how they've analyzed 30 polls and national studies to flesh out the fourfold threat white rural voters pose to the nation." I'm going to say that one of these times, the white rural rage, without it being a tongue twister, I promise. And so they, again, it doesn't look like they actually went and interviewed anybody or talked to these people that they're demonizing to hell. They just looked at polls and national studies. Okay, so it says Schaller came out swinging on this one. Quote, "They," being the white rural voters, "are the most racist, xenophobic, anti-immigrant, anti-gay geographic group in the country. Second, they're the most conspiracist group. Third, anti-democratic sentiments. They don't believe in an independent press, free speech. They're the most strongly white nationalist. Fourth, they're most likely to excuse or justify violence as an acceptable alternative to peaceful public discourse." End quote. Okay, so for folks out there that don't know the leftist playbook, first of all, looking at all the ist and phobes of things on here, right off the bat, you can just say this guy has no idea what he's talking about, okay? Because he basically is using every single, like, leftist buzzword here. So that's just, sorry, man, you're an idiot. They're the most conspiracist group. Every group has conspiracy theories, okay? Far left does too, all right? Say third, anti-democratic sentiments. They don't believe in an independent press or free speech. I highly doubt that. Those are the most patriotic citizens we have in all likelihood. And I just do not think this is in any way, shape, or form, this third part here is even remotely true. The most strongly white nationalist, I'm sure there's a bent of that out there, but I don't think it's what this guy's trying to say. Oh, that's part of the third one as well. But yeah, I think that's a massive over-exaggeration too. And they're most likely to excuse or justify violence as an acceptable alternative to peaceful public discourse. Well, they're patriots. And if you're going to say, like, yeah, we're going to, like, someone might invade your home, what do you think, what would you do? They'd be like, they're people that probably own weapons. They'd be like, well, that person's going to end up needing a body bag. And I can't say I blame them. So, I mean, this is just a lot of, this is basically buzzword the quote here, if you will, like Spaceballs, the toilet paper. This is buzzword the quote. Okay, so Yeah, let's see what the author of the actual article here says and see how he breaks it down. It says that I'm sure I can find 30 studies and polls that support how Democrats also fit the enemy of the state mold. Yeah, I fully agree with that. He probably can't. It's probably a lot more likely in that case. So someone paid these clowns to write a book on this. Are they aware that white working class voters were the backbone of the Democratic Party for generations, starting with the New Deal? That is correct, and now they don't want anything to do with them. The first 2 points are laughable in the sense that being a racist, conspiracy theorist, or anti-immigrant isn't a crime, which, as bad as those things are, they're not crimes. This is protected free speech, which is correct, but conservatives support contrary to what their data say. That is correct. It's liberals who are increasingly hostile to differing views and ideas, hence trigger warnings and speech codes. Yeah, I was actually thinking about saying something like that back up here, but yeah, you said it right there. Again, that is correct. This is at UC Berkeley. Police had to evacuate a Jewish event because progressives became violent. Who wrote these studies, fellas? Was it Claudine Gay? That's the Harvard president who was ousted for plagiarizing basically everything that she wrote. So, yeah, and then go read up on this. There's a link right here, as you can see. But, yeah, that happened too. Yeah, it's always the progressives are the ones that are essentially doing everything that's said in that quote there. Anyway, scrolling back down. Says the white Christian nationalist hysterics are laughable, as everyone knows radical Islamic terrorism poses the more significant threat. Yeah, and it's not even close. I think there was a study that I remember hearing about, this is from a few years ago, that there was something like 454 suicide bombings, or just bombings of some kind. Maybe it was suicide bombings in the world, and 452 of them were Islamic Muslims doing that. So you tell me what's the bigger threat here. That's not all Muslims. For people out there, they're going to be like, that's Islamophobic that you said that. No, it's just true, okay? Stats are not racist or Islamophobic. It says the fourth point is easily dismissed as these figures reside within a statistical environment below minority status. Notice how Schaller doesn't list the actual percentages. Well, there's nothing here that says that, but yeah, he doesn't say that. Yeah, if you're showing a poll and you don't list the percentages, you might not want to trust that poll. But if we're going to nitpick, Republicans, Democrats, and independents have seen upticks in support for statements like American patriots may have to resort to violence in order to save the country. Yeah, and it's obviously coming from completely different areas. So as it's framed as an academic work, I saw these line here. I was about to say, no, it's not, but it says right here, it's a hit job, which is what it is. It's a hit job against voters that liberals hate, which isn't new. The irony of the Obama coalition is that the 44th president's 2 elections would not have been an easy sledding if it weren't for white working class voters who were rewarded by Barry, stripping them of their livelihoods, especially in coal country. Obama clinched 35 to 40% of this voter bloc, and they got their communities wrecked in the process. And didn't that kind of happen in Pennsylvania as well when Biden was like, yeah, we're just basically going to stop mining for natural gas and stuff like that. And they voted for him, and he did the thing he said he was going to do. Something to that effect. Says Democrats hate these people because they don't vote for them anymore. But this notion that being anti-gay or anti-immigrant while believing in this word here that I just don't want to say because I don't know if YouTube's going to do something stupid, but which is a conspiracy in itself, makes you a threat to the Republic is downright laughable. It makes you a colorful voter, of which there are millions. Winning the progressive coastlines in the cities doesn't win you the presidency, fellas. I'm sure you've seen the 2020 map to figure that out. Yeah, the whole map is basically red except for the progressive coastlines in the cities. So, yeah, good luck with that. Say, you're surrounded, is what I'm going to say. So it says, this book is a testament to liberals' inability to cope with people who aren't like them and using neo-McCarthyite tactics and demonization. Telling someone their way to vote makes them a threat to the country is why we're so divided. As for anti-democratic tendencies, did these two ignore what the FBI and DOJ have been doing since 2016? They're on MSNBC, so probably yes, because I doubt MSNBC has said anything about stuff like that. But okay. Final sentence here. It says, last December, ex-MSNBC host Chris Matthews said fighting rural rage was akin to fighting terrorists. Well, Chris Matthews is also, not someone you should really trust. As much as he was held up as someone that should be trusted over the years, he came out since, he's got a severe case of TDS, and he's come out as basically someone you're like, oh, so this dude is basically a piece of doggy-doo the entire time. Okay. And no, it's not akin to fighting terrorists, Chris Matthews. Go learn what a terrorist is and what they want to do, okay? And then compare that to your fellow countrymen, that are just trying to live their lives. Yeah, not the same thing. So yeah, that's the end of this article. And I didn't know if anybody saw this when it was on. I was on vacation when this segment actually happened. I know I'm recording this a few days after March 1st. But did anybody see this? Let me know what you thought of the segment, but let me know what you think about this article as well. and about what the folks at MSNBC said, and of course, MSNBC, said. And you can click on this to listen to them talk about it. I'm not going to do that because, well, the quote's right here, and also I don't want to listen to MSNBC. I like my brain cells. So let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, share, subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.